Hello, wealthy family, and welcome to today's Mindset Monday. Thank you so much for coming and sharing some time with me. I love and appreciate you all. So, I did another Mindset Monday video, and I was talking about mental health, but it's been on my mind to talk about domestic violence and surviving and going through that. It's been on my spirit a lot, and as I was driving, I said, you know what, let me re-record my video and talk about the mentality that has to be reshaped and reforged when you come out of an abusive situation. Because for so long, for those of you who may not know, my first marriage was an abusive relationship, emotionally abusive, financially abusive, physically abusive. It was tumultuous for the most part. And for a long time, he really had my head gone. He had me so fucked up. My self-esteem was already very low because of my upbringing, and I fell into his narcissistic ways so easily, so quickly. And for years, even after I got out of the relationship, and kudos to you if you're watching this video and you have been subjected to that type of energy, abusive energy, and you got through it, you survived it, kudos to you. You are a fucking champion. Don't let anyone take that away from you. It doesn't matter how you survived it, how you got out of it. The mere fact is that you are here now sharing this time with me and on your journey to healing, because it does take a while, right? So for a long time, my current husband would tell me how valuable I was, how much he loved me, how special I was. And it was hard for me to take that in because for so long I was told the opposite. And, you know, I see some of those traumas from, and this was, you know, years ago, but I see some of those traumas regarding the finances sometimes still, you know, ooze and eke their way up. So I wanted to share some tips about how to get back onto your journey of self-worth, self-love, you know, healing, and feeling like the warrior champion that you are. Because a lot of times people can be like, oh, you know, whatever, so what, so-and-so, you know, deprived you of this, or hit on you a couple times, you deserved it, or what did you do to provoke it, or it wasn't that bad. No, don't let anybody tell you that your journey and your experience is less valid because, you know, there is somebody else out there who went through worse. Who gives a fuck? I don't care if they went through worse. What I went through was very hard, right? It was very heart-wrenching. It was very heartbreaking. And it doesn't matter what type of abuse it was. So one thing I had to start doing for me to, you know, shift my perspective, change my mentality, and get out of the victim and start seeing myself as a victor, start seeing myself as a survivor and not feeling sorry for myself, was working on my self-esteem, my self-image, how I viewed and valued myself. For so long, I never did makeup or weave or anything. I always was very natural, but I would take a lot of time and energy to make sure that I was very well put together. I didn't allow myself, you know, a lot of downtime. I was very hard on myself about my weight. And I had to just look at myself one day in the mirror and just bare naked, right? With no fluff, with no nothing. And just tell myself that I am beautiful just the way I am, exactly how I am. And tell myself that I love myself and tell myself that I'm proud of myself. So many times, a lot of individuals who go through abusive situations don't have high self-esteem. They don't have a very high self-image, and they may not feel that they are lovable or wonderful in their authentic state. And they're so used to having to try to do everything perfect or walking on eggshells because, you know, they're afraid to upset their abuser. So allow yourself to be all natural, bare, nude, raw, and just tell yourself, I am beautiful, or I am handsome, because men as well, y'all go through these situations. My husband was in a very abusive, my current husband, his first marriage, very abusive as well. Like, she would get drunk and lose her fucking shit. Like, it was crazy. So this is not discounting you men either. Okay, this is definitely tied into you all. And look at the beam, look at the divine light that's coming through, right? And activated my crown chakra. But talking to yourself in the mirror, telling yourself that you love yourself, you're proud of yourself, that is huge. Okay, start getting into that. Next, I recommend that you do some type of cleansing, not just of your physical body, right, of your aura, not just saging or salt baths or crystal beds or Reiki or anything like that, not just going and dipping yourself in the ocean or grounding, but I recommend like a purging, getting rid of anything that is connected to your abuser, anything that reminds you of them. Get rid of it, burn it, bury it, give it away, throw it in the trash, whatever. Do a ceremony behind it. You got to let them go, because although you only have one ethereal cord, right, you only have one actual physical cord, that your ethereal cord is actually connected through your crown chakra, and it helps keep your spirit connected to your physical body. But whenever you have, especially if this abusive relationship is with someone you were also sexually active with, your energy centers will also connect symbolic cords, right? That can keep you connected and tethered to that person, so you can feel what they're feeling, think what they're thinking, right? For a lot of times I would hear my mom's voice. She would live rent free, not to say, in an abusive manner, although my mom was a little emotionally negligent, but that's neither here nor there. But I would hear my mom's voice in a lot of things that I would do. I would hear my ex-husband's voice in a lot of things that I would do, and I had to like purge and cut that connector so that I no longer had them ringing in my head when certain situations came up, right? So anything you have of theirs, like literally, I sold everything. I threw away my panties, my bras. No, I sold the bed, the dresser, whatever it is that I could. I didn't keep anything from that relationship, because I didn't want anything to be a reminder of that time, except for my beautiful baby boy. Well, he's not a baby anymore, but of course I kept him. Next, for those of you who never had the opportunity to stand up and speak to your abuser, make them be aware of what it is that you went through. If you're still holding on to that trauma, I definitely recommend writing it out. It helps, trust me, it helps sometimes better than talking, because in writing you can be silent and you're within self, but write it out. Tell that abuser, not even going to dignify them by calling them a person, but write it all out. Let that abuser know how they made you feel, what it is that they did, right? If you feel strong enough to give it to them so they can be aware, then good. If not, then just write it out, and again, do a ceremony with that. Burn it, dunk it, put it in some water, bury it, whatever, but get that out of you some way. And if you are strong enough where you can talk to somebody that you trust, that can hear you without judgment and allow you to be, just completely open and vulnerable. And if you don't have anyone in your life like that, or if you are, not trustworthy of anyone, I do offer mental healing sessions. I specialize in helping rewrite abusive mental constructs. Okay, so reach out to me. I am here for you as well. My website, www.ascendinginfinitegoddess.com, or call or text me at 786-828-8722. But I would recommend that you, if you can, right, if you can speak to someone about it, talking about it is really good, but writing it out, it is so magical. Sometimes the words start turning into pictures. It starts turning into scribbles, but just let it flow. Get it out of you. It is good to let that that go and give it room and give it breath. Because for so long, there's a lot of different abusive behaviors that are just handed down, especially through family lines. There's a lot of family members that are very abusive, and we are just holding in our heads like, that's my uncle, that was my mom, that was my dad, that was my sibling, you know, but they violated me. But how do I feel about it? Because the other family is still welcoming them in. That is a clusterfuck, right? So you got to let that out. You got to give it room. Okay. And then my last tidbit for my abusive survivors, my abuse warriors, my abuse, you know, for those of us that soldiered through it all, my last piece of advice to help you heal mentally, and this may be a little, you know, but, and this helped me. If you can find a picture, a picture of the individual or something that represents their energy, and you can get it like physical, not a digital thing, and then you literally draw an X over it, and then you can rip it up again, you can burn it, you can toss it in the trash, but get something physical and then write an X over it and say, you no longer have power over me, bruh. It sounds simple and it may sound kind of controversial, but the ritual of the X, of crossing out and releasing and then having it tied with the tangible, actual physical thing, person, being, man, it gives you a lot of, it gives a lot of power, right? Proof is in the pudding. And give yourself time, give yourself grace, be kind to yourself. If you endured an abusive situation for years, you're not going to heal from that in months, especially if you're not actively working on it, if you're just trying to suppress it. You got to give yourself time, okay? My abusive situation, I was in it for, well, it was abusive for about 3 years through it all, right? And it took me longer than that to get over it. It took me a while. It took me like 7 years to clear all that out, okay? So just know that it makes you stronger, and you are a beautiful person, and you are loved, and you are valued, and the reason you went through